Welcome, human beings and cosmic beings, to our show today.
I'm Cody, the one-man jazz symphonium, and I'm here in America.
Ooh, the smooth jazz is coming, and here is Laz with nothing, and I'm in China. And we're not across the pond, but across
the other pond.
The other pond.
The show where we merge atoms to create computer parts, specifically RAM, because it's so expensive right now. It's cheaper to buy the atoms and make them yourself.
Oh yeah, you know, I feel you, Cody, because recently I'll have to tell you something new that I haven't told you in the last 5 minutes. I'm a composer, and when I am writing music in Reaper, there's these plugins that take up a lot of RAM, and sometimes it's so much that it overloads the entire computer, even if you have 16 gigabytes of RAM. And then you have to restart the entire computer over and wait another 15 minutes for everything to just, all the lovely instruments to just load up again. And that's just the funnest. If that's not the funnest thing you've ever done in the carnival park, then you tell me something funner.
I mean, like 90%,
right?
Or I'm going to say a solid 70% of my job is waiting on computers. So I feel your pain, my man.
Yeah.
I spent an hour and a half on one the other day just waiting for updates. Just like, please, I just need to make one change on this computer.
I think this is why we should still go outside the house and talk to people, because at least people can think about things in a more what is the word? Empathetic way. There you empathetic.
Yeah, empathetic.
I've been around computers. Yeah, I've been around computers for too long, so that word doesn't come to me naturally anymore. Okay, anyway, so why don't we get right into the topic? So we are going into Kino's Journey, Part 2. We've already gone to, what was the last episode we were talking about last time?
The 5th episode was the last one we talked about. 3 Men Along the Rails. So we're starting a little bit before the halfway point of the show. There's 13 episodes.
Yeah, so we're gonna have to cut the bullshit today and just go through the episodes, you know, and then maybe talk more at the end, you know?
Yeah, that sounds good. Luckily 6 and 7 are a two-part episode, so we get at least
so we could so maybe we can still say it's about the halfway point then.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's about the halfway point.
Anyway, so dear viewers, what I told Cody to do last week was, so if you're not familiar with Kino's Journey, there are two series now. There's the original series, the 2003, which I love the best, and Cody seems to like better too. And then there's the new, what is it, 2017 edition?
Yep, 2017 version.
Is that it? Yeah. And so, like, I've only watched 2 episodes, and I tried not to regurgitate my lunch or dinner. I don't remember what time it was at the time I watched this, but it was bad. And I told Cody to at least watch the Coliseum episode, which we're going to talk about today. And I just want to know, Cody, what is your thoughts on the new Kino's Journey, and particularly the Coliseum episode?
It was absolutely terrible. They stripped almost everything that makes the column episodes good out of it, and left just the most bare-bone plot elements that have no character, they just have no reason to exist, and they took everything that has a reason in the Coliseum. We're like, never mind, don't need that. Because number one,
yeah, exactly.
They cut the amount of time you have in the Coliseum in half, because it's a 1-parter in 2017 and a 2-parter in the 2013 version. And
yeah, exactly.
Like, they cut all of the fights, which kind of all established a character in each of the fights that Kino is like kind of plays off of. Like, why is Kino better than this person? Or not better, but different, that person. In the new one, they were just like, oh, she wins. Oh, she wins.
Yeah.
Oh, she wins.
Exactly.
There's like...
Yeah,
There's no characterization of the king at all. Like, you don't...
yeah, exactly.
The fact that he died at the end of the new series, I was like, was he even bad?
Yeah, you know, if I didn't watch the first Kino's journey and I watched the second one, and then I saw that, I would have been like, Kino, you're a fucking murderer.
Yeah, like straight
Like, you just
up.
killed that guy. You never talked to him or anything. You weren't like, hey, so why do you do all this shitty shit? You know, it's like, no, she just heard from word of mouth. It's like, these could just be rumors.
Yep.
And then she just killed a guy because people were saying bad stuff about him, you know?
Yep, and then, like we don't see anything about her final opponent until, like, he enters the ring. Like, there's no build-up at all. It's mind-blowing that got through a scriptwriter.
You know, this actually reminds me of something that happened to me in high school. Like, when in high school, did you ever do the Socratic seminars?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that was big with us millennials. I hate using that word, but you know, like during our time in school, like America was like, we need Socratic seminars, we need group interaction,
group interaction,
bullshit
stuff like that. Yep.
You know, but we were reading Macbeth in high school. You know, Have you read Macbeth?
I did have to read Macbeth in high school.
So you remember the plot, kind of, right?
Yeah,
like
I know the basis. Yeah.
Like in the beginning, there's like the three witches that say like, and that's actually where the whole like the whole thing with the witches, what witches say when they're making potions.
Yeah, the
toil
witches,
and trouble and something.
Toil and trouble. Yep.
Yeah, I didn't know that. That's kind of cool. I like that. But anyway, like in the beginning, they tell Macbeth like the prophecy that he's going to become king, right?
Correct.
And then he automatically assumes that he needs to kill his father.
Yep.
And I'm like, and then I'm just like, and in the Socratic seminar, I just pointed this out. I was just like, okay, why does he have to kill the king? In the beginning, they just said he was going to become king. Why didn't he just wait patiently and just been like, okay, it's okay. I'll just become king without worrying about it. No, he had to go fucking kill his father. It's like, why? And then everyone in the group just kind of looked at me like I was stupid. I'm like, and then they just started talking about something else. This was the entire class plus the teacher. And I'm like, and then they start talking about something else. And I'm like, wait a minute. I know you guys are all bloodthirsty and all this shit, but come on. Why did he have to kill the king? And then they just did the same thing. It's like, they just didn't say anything. They didn't answer me. And that has always stuck in my head as just like, why? You know?
That seems like a dream sequence
like,
almost.
Yeah, I know. It doesn't it almost seems like something that wouldn't happen. It's like I've come across in times in my life when I've asked a question to a group that's like the elephant, not even the elephant in the room, just like so like it's such a big hole in the plot that it's just like eject, logic, eject. You know, it's just kind of like that all of a sudden. You know?
Yeah.
But anyway, it's like that's the feeling I get when I'm watching the Colosseum episode in the new series, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. So don't watch the new one. 2017, don't watch it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not, or you can also do this, watch the 2003 version, or maybe watch it the other way, watch the 2017 version first and then be relieved at how much better the 2003 version is, you know?
Yeah.
But anyway, like, why don't we get into the real Colosseum episode and talk about what it's all about? Why don't it's fresher in your mind, so why don't you give a brief synopsis of the episode?
Yeah, so the episode is about a country that just recently, within like, I think 7 years is what they said, a king had taken over and decided that anybody who wants to be a citizen has to compete in a Colosseum.
What?
To be sorry, an upper crust citizen.
Upper crust?
Yeah, like an elite citizen.
Is there actually that kind of saying? You can say upper crust?
Yeah, the upper crust of civilization. Crust? Yeah.
I've never heard that.
It's not like a pizza crust. It's more like the earth crust, where there's the upper crust and the lower crust.
Oh, well, but I mean, like if you're talking about Chicago deep dish, you can have an upper crust and a lower crust.
That's true,
right?
That's a solid point.
Mm-hmm. And the upper crust would be maybe a little more, chewy. Maybe the lower crust would be a little more like fluffy and delightful. I don't know. I'm a man that enjoys his pizza crusts, unlike some other people. Pussies.
Anyway, and then any travelers that come to the land are immediately thrown into the fight, like even if they're unknowing about it. So Kino had heard about this country from a couple a while back, and at the beginning, at the beginning of the episode, it doesn't show it, but he runs into the wife of the couple, but the husband's no longer there because they were at the Coliseum, and they established that like right away.
She.
Sorry. The interesting thing about Kino is that she uses the male
Boku.
Yeah, Boku. Right. She uses the male.
She used
pronoun. Not a pronoun.
The male I.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a pronoun. Yeah. Because in Japanese, if you guys don't know, like there are pronouns that denote what gender you are, or like sometimes even like what social class you're in.
Yeah. I almost see Kino as a non-gendered person. More just
I think
like it's androgynous character.
Yeah, like she's supposed to be like a gray entity almost, know. But did you watch any of the extra episodes besides the series?
No, I only watched through 13.
You start to understand. Actually, another thing with that, I think the reason she uses that pronoun is that she deep down, like somewhere really deep psychologically, she feels like it was her fault that Kino died, like the original Kino, the guy that came to her town. And now she wants to continue in his legacy. And so that's why he took his name and also consequently his gender then, Yeah,
I could definitely see that being the idea.
Which, I mean, when she grows up, what's she going to do about that when she's got breasts?
Maybe she'll just never grow up. It is an anime.
Maybe she'll just cut off her breasts. I don't know.
Continuing on with the episode recap.
Yeah.
She then enters the Coliseum and has a kind of a kerfuffle with the guards about the rules and stuff. And
I love that scene.
It's very, very good. It was the one part of the new episode that I was like, kind of the same.
Yeah, they're kind of bullying her.
Yeah,
and seeing like she's just treating her like a little kid and being like, "Oh, you want to fight? You want to fight in the Coliseum? Oh, you're so cute." It's like, and then the thing that really sticks in my mind is when the girl says, "What do you think about that, Kino-chan?" And then all of a sudden, like quick as lightning, the gun comes up right in his face, and he's like, "Well, will this weapon be okay for the fight?" And he's like, "Oh yes." Right this way, Kyo-sama. And starts calling her Sama.
Yep.
Yeah. I think it was Sama. I think they called her Sama right off the bat.
I think that's right. Yep. But and then
we're probably wrong.
Initially, she talks to Hermes and is like, I'm just gonna give up right away. Was the initial plan. And then I think in the middle of the first fight, she changes her mind.
I think just because like she starts to realize what the situation everyone is, and she wants to save as many people as possible.
Yeah, And she straight up like asked the guy in the middle why he came here and stuff, and I think he said he wanted to be a citizen for like no good reason. No, this is the assassin, right?
Oh, the assassin. I don't remember what he. I think it was because he was originally a lowly person.
Yeah,
you know, like he said that in his country, assassins grew up in a lowly position, but they have to like dedicate their entire lives to their trade. And, you know, like that's why he wanted to be a citizen there, so he can get status.
Yeah.
You know, everyone in the story had a reason why they were fighting. It
was fantastic.
Yeah, and all they had all the characters, even the auxiliary characters, had interactions with each other. You know, you had like that big muscular dude like hitting on the other girl that was there, and then like just that was, and then you had the other gunslinger that intervened in all this stuff. You know, like I like those character interactions, which in the 2017 series, no extra character like interactions. It was pretty much. I think the only interactions there really were, or really meaningful interactions, were Kino, the guard, Hermes, and then towards the end there was also the sword guy, you know, the prince.
Yeah. Thing is, in the 2017 one, they didn't even go into the guard either. The guard in the 2003 version like shows her the town and everything, and then establishes that he's part of the lower class with like two kids.
And then you empathize with him, you know. I think that maybe to the 2017 edition was created by computers. Maybe that's why everything is so like lacking of emotion.
Yeah,
and
it just has
of any
nothing.
Kind.
Yeah. So she decides in the middle of the fight to continue on her I think her goal was to see what the country was about, not necessarily because she didn't want to be a citizen. She established that right away. But she didn't want to just lose right away. And I think she left it vague. Yeah. They left it vague in the beginning as to why she did that. So then she's introduced to the auxiliary fighters, those that are going to be competing in like a playoffs almost over like the next 2 days. So now we have a timeline of like we have 2 days of fights, and then the winner gets to be a citizen. So then they all get to talk to each other. But
the other thing is if you win the tournament, then you get to make a new rule for the country.
That's right.
That's another important
That's
thing.
why Kino stayed for sure, was she wanted to make a new rule.
Yeah, because she wanted to change the country, I think. Just wanted to help people out in general.
Yeah. So,
which is actually a little, you know, that's one thing I like about the original series is she's always established as this gray entity, like this kind of like ambiguous character, but you always see like little sparks of humanism with her, you know, like
she always wants to help.
It's like it reminds you that she's still human. She's not a robot. She still has feelings and empathy towards people, you know, and I think this episode really shows that, you know, that she wants to help still.
And she doesn't kill anybody throughout her run, because it's you either have to kill your opponent or they can surrender to you, provided you accept their surrender. So to get through all of the fights without killing somebody when you have a gun, it's pretty cool. I can't remember, did they have the fights first or did they meet the king first?
Well, it was like halfway through the fights, like and the semifinals, like they all went to see the king together.
Yeah, because it's just the four of them. It's the prince, it wasn't the buff dude, because the buff dude got beat, I think, right?
The gunslinger.
Yeah, the gunslinger, the female, and Kino.
The female.
I can't remember her name. She was also a gunslinger, though.
Was she? Oh, yeah, she had the rifle.
Yeah, she had the rifle and a flamethrower, I think.
No. The other guy had the flamethrower. Russian kind of dude.
Yeah, the Russian guy.
Yeah. Well,
Oh my!
Slavic.
Oh my God! That fight in the 2017 one was terrible. With the Russian guy, it's like, oh no, he's shooting fire. Immediately pulls out her small one and shoots the cable. Like, doesn't even think about it. Just like, pop. Okay, now you don't have any fuel. I guess I win.
Yeah.
What?
It's like I think, I really think that what they did was they just kind of, because maybe like the people that made the 2017 version didn't read the manga. They just kind of watched the 2003 version and maybe try to simplify it, I don't know, but like it just seemed like they didn't know throughout the entire 2017 version. It's like, well, I only watched 2 episodes, so I can't say the entire, but like just watching those 2 episodes, it's like they already didn't know how to pace as well as the original. And then also they didn't get the heart of it. They really missed the heart of it. And I don't know how you find the heart of a manga, but like, or an anime series, but like they really missed the heart of it.
Yeah, for sure.
But like with the Russian guy, it was like I think they told the Russian guy in the 2017 version also talked about his motivation for being in the contest. Like he was the best in his country, so he wanted to face opponents that were on his level or better than him, Yeah,
I believe that's correct.
And see, that's what I like about the 2003 version. Every opponent has a motivation. Or they purposely don't tell you their motivation, like, or no, I think the gunslinger actually did have a motivation.
He just wanted the life or death feeling of being the best, of fighting somebody.
Which is
the thrill of the fight. That's the motivation. Yeah.
The thrill of the fight. Mm-hmm. Oh, I saw a good meme recently where there was like a zoo veterinarian, and they were operating on a tiger, and they took like a scope, and they were looking. The doctor was looking into the tiger's eye, and then like the nurse was like, "Doctor, what do you see?" Well, I see the thrill of the fight. What is the other lyrics? Like fucking, it's the eye of the tiger, it's the thrill of the fight.
Rising up.
Something up. Yeah, like rising up to
the challenge of our rivals, I think.
To your rivals. Yeah, that's what she's like. It's like, I see the thrill of the fight and rising up to the challenge of our rivals. And I was like, oh my God, that's a good meme. That's a good meme.
It's a good one. That's a good one. So the fights happen, and then I really like the interaction they have with the king, because the king is like, they established that the king, while he's an evil character, he's that way for a reason.
Yeah, he's got a troubled past.
Yeah, like his dad fucked him over. Well, not fucked him over, just like was terrible to him. And he didn't have a mother figure, I don't think. And then
he had a mother. I think like the same night. Didn't he also kill his mother, or his mother killed herself after the king was killed?
I think the mother might have killed herself.
I don't know. Yeah. But then like I love at the end where like you see his hand over his face, and then it looks like he's crying.
Yeah, but he's actually laughing.
And then like the prince, which we don't know is the prince yet, he's like clenching his fists.
Yeah, you can see, and then they establish that the prince's or the king's children have disappeared from the country, so you can kind of get the clues together that he's uncomfortable in this situation because he remembers what happened. And and the king the king doesn't describe that himself. He has court jesters do it, basically.
Yeah.
So that's another character development, that he's so detached from his own past at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And then he
and that
requests marriage to either Kino or the other gunslinger. And they don't have to compete, but they both turn him down. And that's kind of an interesting...
And then he kind of he gets visibly like disrupted by that.
Yeah,
and I think that's also why like when Kino went against the rifler, you know, like the female gunslinger, like Kino like let her give up, the king just shot that girl.
Yeah, the king
killed
shoots
her right
her.
on the
That's
spot.
right.
Yeah, you know, and that's like, man, I haven't watched this episode in so long, and I remember it much clearer than you, I think.
Probably. I remember most of it, for sure. My brain is kind of trying to put together what parts were in part 1 and part 2, since I'm looking at the 2-part scene.
I don't even like separate the two. It's like all one in my head.
Yeah.
But what is it? It's just like, oh my god, all the story points are just dead on, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and especially when he kills that girl because she's dead.
Yep. And the only reason she was there was to make a new rule that they had to have the flowers for her mother who had died.
Yeah.
Like hers was the most like tragic reason to be there.
And then like she just kind of, it's almost like an anti-hero's journey. It's like she had this purpose to come over here and whatnot, and then all of a sudden like she was just killed off the bat, like in like the most heroic way, or like not heroic, non-ceremonious way, you know? It's just like, oh, boom, pop, you're dead.
Yep.
You know, like and that was a direct, that the reason for killing her was directly related, I think, was related to her saying no to marrying him.
Yeah, absolutely. You know? Direct, like,
yeah
100%.
And it just shows another layer to his like insanity, you know?
Yeah, that he didn't get his way, and then nobody died, so he took it into his own hands.
And then in the end, you know, and then in the end, like when Kino finally fights the prince, and I love the scene right before the fight where the other male gunslinger stands in front of the entrance to the Coliseum and tells Kino, it's like, just give up in the beginning. It's like,
you can't win with that persuader.
You know, it's like you're. Oh yeah, I forgot. In the world of Kino, they call all guns persuaders. You know.
Yeah,
I forgot about that. But like he's like, from one gunslinger to another, like you can't win with him, you know. And then like Kino finds out, oh, okay, like this guy, even if I try to shoot at him, he's going to use his katana skills he's so quick that even he can even deflect a bullet with his katana. Yeah. But then what do you remember what his line, like why Kino says he got defeated in the end? Do you remember?
Why the guy did? I think it's because he wasn't willing to kill Kino.
Well, no, he had a different reason. Like he said, Kino told him, it's like, you wanted to win so much that you lost your focus, you know?
Yeah, but even
like in the end, like
even then though, Kino still wasn't gonna win. He had lined up with the king, and even after that, the prince was like, I'm not going to give up, because even at this range, I can still dodge your next bullet. Like, he never surrendered, but Kino knew that he was going to dodge, so he shot knowing that the prince knew that the king had lined up for him. Like, they were still equals. I don't think either of them had surrendered.
Well, I remember what happened was that he was going to like slashed down onto Kino, but then at the last second, Kino used the butt end of her pistol.
Yeah, he had his second gun up.
Hit the hand and took the and hit the handle of his katana, and his katana flew to one side, and then took the pistol and was aiming straight for his head. You know, like that's what I remember. Like it wasn't that he was able to dodge or not. It was just, I remember him surrendering, but I could be wrong. You know, but of course the thing we can agree on was that afterwards, like Kino took out her other. What it was like? Did she have another pistol, or was there just something attached to the big?
She had
pistol that
what she had done. She'd made liquid gunpowder, which increased and made a hollow point, which increased the or not a hollow point, but like a cross bullet, which increases the firepower so that it could shoot through the glass and kill the king. Which I will say, in the 2017 version, they at least established that. I feel like in 2003, they kind of just gloss over that part. They just show her doing it, but they don't explain it. Which I also like in that method, because you don't really know what's happening.
Yeah, I like that method better, because, like, you don't even... I don't think even Hermes asks...
Hermes doesn't even ask what she's doing. Yep. Whereas
yeah, I like that
they
much
really
better.
just lay it out in the 17 one. So... It's better in the 2003 one, but from my knowledge, I liked that the 2017 at least said that. It gave me something of value out of that episode.
Well, yeah, but I think in the storytelling, it's much better just to show, not tell.
Yeah, absolutely.
Show me, don't tell me. You know, like that Rush song from Red Tide that probably no one knows. Except me. Yeah.
Somebody knows. Somebody somewhere has listened to that album.
You know, yeah, you know, like, but I just... Man, that episode. You know, there is one thing that I like about the 2017 version is that apparently I didn't watch anything past the Coliseum episode, which is episode 2 in 2017 version. But like, what I've heard is that in the later episodes in the 2017 edition, the prince actually comes back a lot of times.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so you actually get to know more about his backstory, which I think that would be cool. But the problem is, it's just like...
He still had no characterization in that episode.
Yeah, you know, like, you gotta flesh out your characters, you know? I think that's the biggest thing in any anime or any series in general. If it's a book or any story, you need characters that we can empathize with, you know? We can... Maybe not even empathize. I don't know. Do you think empathy is a really good, like a good thing to have with your characters? I think so. I would say that it's probably the most important thing.
I think the most thing is being able to empathize with them, relate to them, or understand them. Sure, you might not always empathize with the evil person, but you need to be able to understand their like motive. Like, having a character be evil to be evil is boring.
Yeah, exactly. So I that's I think is the main reason that the 2017 edition falls short, is because the characters are just lacking in pretty much everything. You know,
they have no motive. They're just there
it's
to be
almost
there.
like it's almost like they just are NPCs in Kino's world. You know.
Yeah. Whereas in the 2003 version, they're like living beings that exist outside of her efforts. Yeah,
you know, it's almost like a whole bunch of different stories converged on one point, rather than here's Kino's journey, and well, there's some nice scenery. Like that scene is people shaped, but you know, we don't need to talk about it. You know, it was pretty much like that for Kino for the 2017 version. But I love how, like, in the 2003 version, every person has a story. You know, in every episode, it's like that, you know?
Yep, absolutely.
I love that so much. So, and then in the end, of course, Kino kills the king, and then she declares, okay, all of the upper class people have to fight. See, and that's a difference then to the 2017 version too. In the 2003 version, she tells only the upper class to fight to see who's the new king, I think.
Yeah, and the winner in this Colosseum, like, and number one, it doesn't show us that. It just says that's what she did after they leave the town. Like, you can hear the fighting in the distance, but you don't see it, I don't think. That's something that sticks in my mind that's different in the 17 version, where she's just like, all right, everybody fight now to be king. Whereas it's established, she says those people in the Colosseum have to fight, and the winner will be the next king.
Yeah, but see, that's the other thing. It's like she was still looking after the lower class. Yeah, because like the upper class were the people that were all bloodthirsty and wanting to watch people fight to their death. Yep. And so, like in the 2003 version, her saying that was she was trying to get rid of the corrupt upper class. But in the 2017 version, it's just like, well, I just want to see everyone killing each other. So do that. And
and I think even Hermes was like, Kino wants to destroy or like end this country or something.
Yeah, it's like with the 2017 version, I always feel like Kino is just self-motivated. Like she has like almost like a greedy self-motivation. Like she's more like loathsome, like I always look at Kino and it's just like, well, you didn't need to do that. Come on. It's like I see her more as a kid in 2017, or more as an incomplete person, like, or maybe just a bad person. I just see her as a bad person in 2017.
Yeah, she straight up has like terrible motivations.
Yeah, but in the 2003 version, it's like I can see myself wanting to be like Kino. But in 2017 version, I always see her and I'm like, come on, Kino. Come on, think about the shit you're doing before you do it. Come on, Yeah. But like, I guess that's it for the Colosseum episode. We don't...
Yeah. That's all the big plot points that I feel are discussion worthy. But go watch them. If you only watch 2 episodes of Kino's Journey, the Colosseum episodes are great to watch.
Yeah, that's probably my favorite. We'll have to go through the episodes, but like that, I always see that in my head as like the main high point of the whole series.
Yep, and then we come down, and our next episode is The Land of Wizards. Which this is the one with the flying machine.
Oh, yeah. That's also a classic. And it's a trope that... I don't know if Kino's Journey did this trope for... No, this is a trope that goes all the way back to the ancient Greeks with, what's his name? The guy that flew too close to the sun?
Icarus.
I think it goes off of Icarus, right?
A little bit, except she doesn't ever fail. Like, she doesn't fail like Icarus does because she rises above her, like... She stays in her lane. She doesn't go above and beyond, and like, because her flying machine succeeds in the end because of Kino's intervention. But
because I actually have seen this same trope happen in a Chinese series that I've watched recently. I forgot what it's called. It's like, I think it was just called Shanghai Jing Shima. I already forgot what it was. But like they had the exact same trope really. It was like a guy, but this guy was like in a wheelchair and he's like, it was like his love. The girl he loved was in a wheelchair and wanted to give her the gift of flight. And it was like pretty much the same trope as like, oh, like you can't fly. Human beings can't fly. And then it's like, watch me, bitch. And then he made a flying machine. Everyone's like, whoa, human beings can fly, So like, anyway, I'm going off of tangents again.
Yeah, I think the big point of this episode is that to a civilization that's not technologically advanced, any tech that is far enough advanced will appear as magic instead of technology. Because she builds it all with stuff like that, and then immediately after she flies, the town calls her a wizard now.
Yeah.
Like she's not an inventor or anything. She's a fucking wizard.
Yeah, I think that kind of goes back to the Salem witch trials too. Like back in the Middle Ages when people didn't know much about science and stuff, and they just kind of saw anything as fantastic as being a witch or black magic, right?
Yeah.
So
if I remember right in this episode, Kino arrives in this town. It's a big agricultural town. They have like the big bronze statue in the middle of the road, and she has to meet with the mayor immediately, who bores her ear off with talk of agriculture stuff and their
productivity.
Yeah, their productivity, which is hilarious. And the wizard lady, our inventor, barges in and demands an audience with the mayor, and she's been doing this apparently all the time, trying to get the statue moved. And Kino's very interested in this girl immediately because she's so different from the rest of the town. And then we get her tragic backstory where she had her fortune stolen from her, and a wizard took her in, or the man who was called a wizard took her in, and all he did was study. Really, he was just kind of an old man.
Well, no, I don't think he took her in. It was like that her. Oh,
he died, and her aunt bought that for her.
Yeah, her aunt bought the storage room space, that his house, for her, and just just play over there. Yep,
because her aunt stole her money.
Started getting she started getting enamored by like all the science stuff. But there's always this trope about like some kids' parents both dying, and then the aunt being or uncle being forced to take in the kid, and then being completely horrible to them. Like, I can kind of sympathize with them. If right now, like, I had, if all of a sudden I had a kid thrown at me that, and in my life, I didn't have like the funds or anything, or not even like, but in the end, I mean, she also took all the money. So that's kind of shitty. Yeah. But I mean, like at the same time, like thinking about like that kind of trope, it's like, I can also understand why they don't want to take care of the kid.
Yeah.
It's like
when you don't plan on having a kid, you get one just thrown at you because you're related to them.
Because
like, yeah, that's fucking shitty.
I mean, but at the same time, it's almost kind of like there's a word in Chinese. I forget how to say it in English, but 无可奈何. It's like, how do you say that in English? It's just like you can't do anything about it, Yeah. It's just that, and like, but I mean, so if they were just to be like, oh, like I have to give you to someone else that's more willing to take care of you, then I would be like, oh yeah, it makes sense. But if you do something shitty, like take all the money and just be like, here's a shed to play in, it's like, yeah, that's shitty.
Yep, that's a bad guardian.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, like why don't you keep telling the story then?
So, and then it's established she has a fiance who kind of supports her, but is also on the side of the town because he wants her to kind of just be normal, almost. Mm-hmm. And then Kino sees the flying machine and tells her that she thinks it'll work, but they need more space, but they won't move, but the town won't move the statue. And then the town comes and says, we're going to tear apart your flying machine tomorrow because we're tired of hearing about it. Mm-hmm. So this triggers Kino to help her and like find a way to get it to fly with the statue in the way. Mm-hmm. So the next morning they use like a bunch of gunpowder basically and give her they make a ramp.
There's also a ramp.
Yep, they make a ramp and a bunch of gunpowder. I was getting to it.
Well, like, what are you going to do with a whole bunch of gunpowder? Explode into the air? Yeah, you'll be able to fly a little bit, but be dead all this at the same time. And then if you weren't dead from the explosion, you'd plop onto the ground, break every bone in your body, and then probably be dead. Probably.
But along with the ramp and the gunpowder, it works.
This is why order matters, Cody. What is a dead man going to do with a ramp? He's not going to do anything. He's going to just be dead by the ramp, right next to the ramp. That's what I'm getting here.
Yeah, it's ramp and then gunpowder.
Yeah, but what's the gunpowder used for?
It's to give her propulsion into the air. So that she can get above the statue, basically.
She puts it in rockets, right? It's not just sprinkle. Okay, this is how we fly an airplane. Let's get the airplane, sprinkle a whole bunch of gunpowder all over the airplane, light it on fire. You know, that's how you fly, right?
The key is Kino introduced gunpowder here because she didn't have it before.
Oh, really?
If I remember right, because she didn't have it on the plane.
Well, yeah. Like, I remember that, like, you know, kind of, she was talking about, like, a gun having, like, the backlash when you shoot it.
Yeah.
And she was like, why don't you use that? And she was like, oh, yeah, that'll work. And then it's like, oh, the next day they woke up really early and they tried that and she was able to fly. And everyone was like, oh, wow, that's so special. And it's like, wait a minute, everyone, you gotta, now that she can fly and proved herself, why don't you move the statue so she has a landing space? And they're like, oh, yeah, right. And then everyone was
and then the statue isn't even that hard to move.
Yeah, it's
I was like, okay,
it's like all
you could have just moved it for her and then moved it back.
Yeah, you know, but I think it was just because they were like, they just didn't want. I don't know, like people have all sorts of stupid reasons not to do something.
They didn't want to break with tradition because it was their like agricultural god. So if you move it, but immediately after something like miraculous happened, they didn't care about that anymore.
Yeah, you know, I think maybe that's a like an allegory to people in general, because like you see a lot of people like always sticking to tradition, and then they never want to try anything new. But then when something new actually does come out, they're like, "Oh well, this is awesome.
Like, let's do this."
Like the internet, or like you know, video games or something.
Yeah, there's like, always those people that are like, hesitant to adopt new stuff.
Yeah, you know, like with me with smartphones, you know, in the beginning I was also kind of like that. Like I didn't want to switch to a smartphone, but then I started seeing like some of the good things about smartphones. Like if I'm going to learn a new language, then I can't just carry like a fucking like 16-pound dictionary with me everywhere. It's so much simpler and faster to use a smartphone to look up words, you know?
Yep. I remember when we moved in together, you still had your old phone. Just the old T9 phone.
A flip phone, you know? Which I actually do like the physical buttons better.
Yes, but I will always like the tactile buttons better than the screen, because, man, typing on a screen is so annoying sometimes.
It's, yeah, like, it just, I don't know, it's still, I still like if I have to write something, like, I remember Fang, she was telling me one day, like, we were going to go to Shenzhen together for a vacation, but I still had to write up some stuff for a project that I was doing at school. And then she was like, oh, just write it on your phone. And I'm like, okay, I can try. And then I tried it and I was like, I hate this. I need a keyboard. Like, it just, I don't like using my thumbs to write out an entire essay. It just seems so stupid. It's so slow too. You know, if I only have two thumbs, it's like, have you ever tried to eat a meal with just your thumbs? It's hard. Have you tried to eat spaghetti with thumbs? With just thumbs? What are you supposed to do? Where's the noodles supposed to go? You know? Like, that's why you need your whole fist. You need to get your whole fist in that spaghetti and just fistfuls of spaghetti into your mouth. That's the real Italian way of doing it.
Yeah, you eat with your hands. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, don't break
your whole hands. When you say eat with your hands, you got to use every part of your hand, including the back of it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Get the sauce into all the crevices, man. That's what spaghetti's for. You got to get the sauce in all the crevices, all the nooks and crannies, you know. That's what the sauce is for. Yeah, get that sauce in there.
So anyway, I think in retrospect of the Land of Wizards episode, I think it is about people not willing to accept new stuff until it's been proven, basically. Like, a lot of people don't want to take a chance on something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, it's like about not taking chances to improve things, not breaking traditions, you know. Following your dreams, you know, that's another
because she never gave up.
Yeah, but that's a good episode. I would say 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10. I would give it an 8 out of 10.
I'd agree with that. 8 out of 10.
I would 8.5 out of 10. I think it deserves more than an 8.
Yeah.
It's not exactly one of my favorite episodes, though. But
yeah, this one's kind of like one of the weaker episodes to me, honestly.
Yeah, because like I feel like if I rewatched the series, I might skip over that episode. You know, if I felt like it.
Yeah.
But I think there's other episodes that I more like. Maybe the next one I'm thinking about. What's the next episode on the list?
The next episode is The Land of Books. Faster. This one was almost too surreal for me.
This one, I think, was one of the ones I'm still trying to analyze a bit.
Because there's... Honestly, in this review, I feel like there's so much going on, I can't accurately portray what happened.
Yeah, can you give me a little bit of a refresher on it? I remember some of the main points, but it just still... I don't know, it's one of those episodes that doesn't stick in my head very well.
Yeah, here's how I remember it going down. So, Kino meets a traveler who has a book. And tells her he doesn't need the book anymore, so to go return it to the library at the land he got it from. She goes to the land, returns the book, and the book is a dangerous book that needs to be sent to quarantine. Which immediately this land is like a censored world, effectively. I think it's a take on critics. Originally, because they're like, all the critics of the land live in this castle, or this tower, and they read the books, they read every book, and determine what's safe for the public and what is dangerous and needs to be locked away. And basically the only books that are safe are like how-to books, is what Kino says, is like how to do stuff. It's the only safe books. And then she runs into like a rebel group that's trying to get books that aren't safe. And they talk about a mysterious author. And then she runs into the author, and the author is kind of like clearly crazy. And then she gets in the tower. Much happens in this episode.
He gives her a key, right?
He gives her a key.
And then she goes into the tower, and all I remember is that I don't know if she purposely sets everything on fire, or no, it's the librarian there accidentally knocks over a lamp, and then all the books go on fire.
Yeah, and then apparently, like the warden of the tower explains to Kino that it's actually more like a mental facility for people who can't disconnect themselves from fantasy and reality, or they can't determine the difference between a book and reality. But clearly she is also crazy because she's keeping these people locked up in a tower about books. I think it's kind of like the idea behind the episode is, number one, censorship, which is it's that censorship isn't a useful tool to keep people in line, because there's always those people that are rebelling because of the censorship. Whereas if you just left everything out and let people decide for themselves, you would have less of that.
I don't know. It just seems like maybe it's because I need to watch it and analyze the episode more. But every time I think about that episode, there's like a whole bunch of things that are just not there in my head. And when I'm listening to you recap everything, it's like I almost find myself dozing off. I don't really enjoy that episode that much.
Yeah, you know? It has too much going on.
I don't know what it is. There's just something about the episode that
I guess what I mean by too much going on isn't that there's too much action. There's too many threads that are too vague. There's like the group that's censoring all the books, there's the librarians that are trying to get the books, there's the original guy, there's the author. There's too many threads that don't connect well enough to keep you invested in the episode.
Maybe. But at the same time, I like that vagueness a lot. You know, it kind of keeps you guessing. So I'm also thinking maybe it's something with me just not watching the episode and paying attention to things enough.
It is a very talky episode.
Yeah, maybe in the future I'll have to watch that again. Why don't we just go to the next episode? We're kind of losing time here.
Yeah, a little bit. The next one's The Tale of Mechanical Dolls, which I think is kind of a cool episode, but predictable.
I like that episode.
I like it, but it is predictable.
Well, I think it's purposely predictable.
Yeah. You know? I will say I felt incredibly uncomfortable when they had dinner together. Like, Kino's the only one eating, and she's just kind of looking at the other three that are the robots.
Mm-hmm. But I like the backstory in the end, like that the grandmother was actually the inventor that built them, and then that her entire family was killed in a terrorist bombing.
Yeah,
and
the day
just
that
when
she had those
completed
finished. Yep.
And then she came back and she kind of was so traumatized that she just was like, oh, everything's fine. It's like, let's be a family together, you know? And then
and we must all be robots.
No, she decided that she was their servant. That was it. Yeah. Right? It wasn't that she was like the grandmother or anything. And that's one of my favorite episodes, I'll have to say.
It's a really, really good episode. It's just a nice, touching story. Like, the idea that even though all these mechanical dolls did was, like, their whole purpose originally was just to, like, be servants and stuff, they took on this role of being this woman's outlet for her trauma, almost.
Yeah, it's like that was their only purpose.
Yep. Right? Yeah, and then they kill themselves at the end when Kino's like, I don't have a purpose for you.
Well, that's the thing. Like, so you didn't say that the old woman actually dies.
Yes.
She dies in the end.
Yeah, of old age.
And they bury her, and then and then like Kino's about to leave, and then they're like, wait a minute, what do we do now then? It's like, give us a purpose. And then she's like, no, I don't want to do that. And then they're just like, oh, well, I guess we're not needed anymore. And they just kind of hold each other's hands and stand for a second there. And Kino's just kind of slightly smiling at them. And then they start taking steps back. And then she's like, oh, wait a minute, don't do that. And then they just, before she could do anything, they just jump.
Yeah, I thought they were just going to like wander the world forever, basically. And instead they just jump off the ledge.
Mm-hmm. Which actually, I think that goes back to Kierkegaard and like all the existentialists. Actually, it goes to Camus. You know, the guy that wrote The Stranger?
I don't know if I know that one.
But like, he's a writer, and then he's also an existentialist, and I think it was him that said, we either find a purpose or we kill ourselves, pretty much. It's like that's the two choices. Oh, can you hear me?
I can. I didn't hear that one sentence there.
Oh, okay. But it was like, he said pretty much, and I probably paraphrasing this wrong, but it's pretty much like this. It's like you either can find a purpose in life or you can just kill yourself.
Well, yeah.
That's pretty much the two choices you have. So, like with the dolls, it's not even complicated with any other feelings. It's pretty much we either have a purpose or we just die. You know.
Yep. We just. I think that's the point of the episode is that to live you need a purpose, and like the old lady, her purpose shifted from having a family to serving what she thought was her family. And that was the only way she would have lived, because the trauma of her losing her regular family, she probably would have killed herself if she hadn't like closed off.
Yeah, maybe that's the reason she she also was like she started seeing herself as a robot.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, she thought she was a
robot.
In
the beginning she was saying she was the mechanical doll. Yep. And that she was here to serve that family. And then slowly you realize she's actually a human and the family is actually the dolls. Yeah, I forgot. That was a big point there. But yeah, that's also a really good episode. I would say that was probably, let me see. I don't know. In the end, we can start ranking our favorite episodes. But why don't we go to the next episode now?
The next one is called Her Journey, and this is the one where she meets the old wise man who is stripped of his self-consciousness or something. It was self-something that he described it as. And he's...
I forgot. Mm-hmm.
And he was an experiment, and they were trying to make people that would work efficiently and not like want to be ambitious or anything, and it just turned its back on them and was like, without the self like starting, you just don't want to do anything. And then because he didn't have materialism or anything, he wasn't materialistic or anything, he was deemed a wise man, which I think is a take on people misunderstanding what a wise person should be.
Oh yeah, and there was the reason people start calling him a wise man is because he was begging on the street, and then like a king came by and he's like, "What would you like? I can give you anything in the world. I'm incredibly rich." And he's like, "All I want for you is to move a little so I can get some sun on my face."
Yeah,
you know. And actually, I remember that's a story in. I think that's a Taoist story, or a Buddhist story, if I'm remembering correctly. I remember somewhere I saw this same story in like some text, and then I don't know, but I think it's one of those. It's either Taoist or Buddhist.
Yeah, this one had very Buddhist vibe to me, where it was like, sure, you can be a wanderer and not need anything, but are you truly living without a desire to have stuff?
Yeah, I don't know, you know, like I'm not really sure, but like this episode I kind of forgot a lot about it. All I remember is that there is a man that like a magician or something that came by and said that I'll give you back all of your ability for like having desire, but you need to remember the secret words. Yeah,
and then he says the words and makes him forget them, and then the words are, there aren't any, or it can't, it isn't possible. It was something that was like, he couldn't restore the words, or he wouldn't be able to restore them to his power.
Uh-huh.
And Kino says it.
I forgot the words. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember
what were the words? Do you remember? Uh-huh.
I don't remember
Can
what
you
they
look
are
that up really
specifically.
quick? Look that up really quick. Let me... Yeah, but... yeah, I'm not really sure if, like, desire is, like, actually super important. Because, like, you know... I also feel like if they're trying to make a commentary on Buddhism, they might also be
The words are,
like,
there is no such
missing
thing.
the point. There is no such thing. Oh, there is no such thing as having no desire?
Yeah, something like, I mean, it was the words that the hypnotist said that you need to remember are, there is no such thing. And it goes back to something Kino said to somebody about the difference between a real sky and a fake sky or something. And
yeah.
There is no such thing. There's just the sky.
Yeah, it's all...
Yeah, I'll say this one
like,
doesn't stick in my head very much, except for why the man was wise.
Yeah, perhaps this is also another episode. I the more we talk about this, the more I want to rewatch the original series and see what I think of it now. You know, I haven't seen it for like 2 years now. But yeah, why don't we go to the next episode? Just go through all of it really quick now. Yep. I think, how many episodes do we have left?
We only have 2 left.
Okay.
The next one we can kind of like probably just talk about why it's so fucked up is the Peaceful Land one, where there's 2 warring countries, but all they do now peace is kill the other neighboring tribe together, basically, and they treat it like a game where you have to kill a number of them, and then one side wins or another, and that's how they have war now because the 2 countries met, or 2 women in the opposing countries met and determined that this was a better way to resolve their conflicts than killing each other because they wanted to preserve their own family rather than the outsiders. And I think that's very potent in that people will always rather push off tragedy to some other people that aren't their people than themselves.
Yeah, that's actually something that I didn't really consider. Like, from my... So with what I get from the episode is like that. I had the thought and then it just flew away from my mind. that people always have that urge, that killing urge, you know, that killing instinct.
Yeah.
So like it doesn't matter like if we say there's going to be peace from now or not, like sooner or later people are going to want to kill. And so they were decided to take their killing urge and at least put it on something, use it on something or someone or a people that didn't matter as much to them.
Yeah. And all that did though was the other tribe is now so desperate they kill any traveler that leaves any of those other 2 cities. Yeah,
to just get some sort of revenge because they're so powerless against the high-tech countries that are killing them. Which I also really like this episode. It's a super good episode, and of course I think there's a lot of there's a lot of hints at being a Naziist kind of country. Right?
Yeah,
like
for
especially
sure.
You get this scapegoat kind of feeling. I mean, of course, you know, and it makes you know, like, do we really have this killing instinct? Because it makes me think about like I try to be vegetarian when I can, but I always feel like I have this urge to eat meat. You know, like this, like I need. I don't know what it is. It's just this really deep instinct to just eat meat. And I kind of equate that with my instinct to kill, you know? Like, I think people still have, like, a killing instinct. It's just like, you know, sometimes it can be shown in the eating of meat, or it can also be shown like just in killing and hunting, people that like to hunt.
I think even sports expel that urge as well, like contact sports.
Yeah, aggression, let's call it that.
Yeah,
and
aggression's
killing
a really good
can
word.
be like, and killing can be like the peak of aggression, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, to me, it's almost, you can also bring it, I think you can also look at this in kind of a Freudian way where like with a man, the peak of a man is kind of like the orgasm, like how like you get all this energy built up and then it's all released. It's like a valve. Like when you have an orgasm, it's just all gone, and that's kind of like what killing is too. It's almost like a sexual urge. Like you kill someone, it's just, that's the end of it. It's like there's a very, very like clear end to something. And I think that's kind of like people just have this urge to just have a clear end to things,
Nobody likes to let things just drag on and taper out.
Yeah, and so I think that's also the reason why like people like to kill, because it's just like such a very clear ending to something, which is not, I mean, putting things in black and white isn't good, I would say that it's better to keep things in the gray a lot of times, but I don't know. That's a very hard topic to talk about, actually.
Yeah, I've never killed anything, so well, bugs.
Yeah, I mean, no, you've killed bugs, and you've probably
bugs.
killed other. You've probably killed other things. I don't know, like like mice or something. Like putting out mouse traps. Or
I remember when
like
we,
I don't know.
You know what? I'm not talking about this episode. I remember when we found all those mice that were in our apartment.
Yeah.
We technically killed those. We left those out to die.
Yeah, like, see, that's the thing. Like, we forget about like what we kill sometimes,
Yeah.
Or we have also like have indirect, like when we eat meat, actually, we're kind of, if everyone's eating meat, we're also kind of like fueling that machine, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
If everyone doesn't eat meat, then no one's going to kill all these animals, for the supply of meat. So it's like, in a way, we're also kind of like the instigators for all that killing,
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
I can agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of indirect ways to look at it. It's like, can you really say that you're not a killer if you're not the direct killer? Like I don't know. It's all very gray. It's something to talk about and to bring up, but what the actual solution is, not really sure. But with meat, like at least in the future, we'll be able to grow meat in labs.
Yeah, we'll have pseudo meat.
Which is, but it should be the same. They've already done that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, like the Beyond Burgers and stuff. Yeah, they're just very expensive.
Which I'm super excited. Like I would much rather eat that. Like I think there is actually a, like, what is it? I forgot what company it was, but they had this like showcase where, they were eating chicken nuggets with the chicken that the chicken meat was from, like just walking around them. Yeah, like the chicken was just there in their backyard, just like running about, and they were eating its meat, that they grew from like the molecules they took from it. The cells, I should say, which I think is really cool, But anyway.
I think veganism can be a topic for another one. Let's talk about the final episode here. A Kind Land. This one's heavy. Like, this is a heavy end to the series.
Mm-hmm. But I think it's a good one.
It's very good. Like,
it's a good one.
She comes to the town, and it's established that she's heard that this town is kind of shitty to travelers and stuff. Like, they're mean and stuff. Mm-hmm. But she finds it completely opposite. Mm-hmm. They're super happy to have her. she goes around, she sees the history and stuff. She connects with this young girl named Sakura that I definitely think reminded her of herself.
Yeah, and that her name also is Sakura.
Yeah,
and then if you never put the pieces together, before, but what else happened?
And then she spends her 3 days there, and she wants to stay there longer, and they're like, "No, you can't stay any longer." And they even ask if Sakura wants to go with them, and she says no. Or if Sakura wants to go with Kino, and then she says no. So they tell her very specifically, go up above the ridge when you leave tonight. Don't stop until you get there. And then she sees the town get flooded with lava. This wonderful, nice town had been I don't want to use the word scheduled for execution, because that sounds like somebody did it. But they had learned via science that the town was going to be destroyed, and they would rather stay there than move.
Yeah, there's a word for it in Chinese, and I don't know how to say it in English. But because I'm thinking liu lian, but I don't know how to say. I forgot how to say it in English. But they don't. This makes me think of Liu Cixin, the story called The Wandering Earth. And actually now I think there's some theaters in America that are showing, it came out as a movie recently, and it's okay. It's better than a lot of other Chinese movies that I've seen, but it's just okay still. And what it is people learn that the sun is actually going to die out very soon. So what they decide to do, instead of fleeing the planet, what they decide to do is they decide to build giant rockets on Earth to take the entire planet to a different solar system.
Huh.
Yeah, it's an interesting concept, and it's just how much do you miss home,
Yeah.
How much do you want to stay with home?
Yeah. I mean, there are people who never move out of their little tiny town because of that idea that home is home is home.
I actually have met a lot of people in Maryville and Collinsville that have never left the state even.
Yeah.
And Missouri is right over there.
I know, that's the crazy thing to me. Do you ever go to St. Louis? No.
No, it's why should I go there when everything is good here, which is much different from my lifestyle. I'm well, why don't we go on the other side of the planet and see what's there, Yeah,
and it's two different types of people. There's those that love to travel and those that love to not travel. That's kind of not related to this, because this is your home being destroyed. You have nowhere to return to.
Yeah.
You're just nomadic until you can find another home. And it had been established that they'd already gone through that once. Their ancestors had wandered through the woods for a long time trying to find a place to stay. So it's established that they know the hardship of having to find another home.
Yeah, and then they actually were really bad to travelers for a long, long time.
Yeah.
And then they were being good in their final days to try to redeem themselves and be remembered as a better country.
Yeah. And that's the idea of a legacy. The legacy, your true, what you're remembered as is the most important thing after you die.
I don't know. That's something I can argue about, because and actually, if you think about it, this is actually a good book. You might be interested in reading. This book is called what is it called? It's called I can only remember the Chinese title, but it's written by an American. Something about death. oh shit, I forgot what it's called. The something on death, but it talks about like how why we're afraid of death, and like what we're actually looking for when we're doing like there. I remember a word called the Kalsa Sui Project, where it's like we try to do stuff in our life to be remembered after we're dead, you know, to have a legacy. And actually this legacy is also in the grand realm of the universe is still purposeless, you know.
That's true. I mean, it's like what, like 3 generations you're usually forgotten?
I don't know, you know, but like you're eventually forgotten, even if you're like the greatest person in history. Even people like who would you say is the most famous person in history? Maybe like Napoleon,
Genghis Khan.
You know, even let's see, like if just randomly pick someone, they're going to be forgotten eventually, you know.
Yeah, eventually.
So, yeah, but even then, like the thing we remember about them will change, you know. We'll always change the story about them, you know. It's almost like a historical game of telephone, you know.
Yeah, like, they really. We've been watching Futurama recently. They really show that in Futurama. Like after 1,000 years, the story changes a lot from what we know versus what a person knows. Like, well. Was it like the moon landing? It's like the 2nd episode in Futurama. Remember when they're like, "Here's how we think the moon landing might have happened. We're whalers on the moon." It's like that doesn't make any fucking sense. But yeah, man, like the story's changed. That's something
I need to watch again. I need to watch Futurama again. Like I didn't appreciate it when I was a kid.
It's so funny.
Yeah,
it's so good. Go watch Kino's Journey and then watch Futurama.
Yeah. I still remember one scene like where they were playing like Blurn's Ball.
Yeah, Blurn's Ball.
And then like Fry was like, "Okay, I think I understand it now. Like the bases are loaded and the Blurns is in the 3rd inning and blah 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 blah." And then it's like, besides the word Blurn's ball, everything else you said was just complete rubbish. And then like and then it's like, what? And then they just like something happened, and then like it was like for some reason it was on a string, and then it went off into this field, and they're like, Blurns! And it was just like, what?
Yep, it was the most absurd shit ever. Oh, I love it.
Yeah. But anyway, like with the episode, you know, it's just like I still remember like the end, you know, like the family that she stayed with gave her a letter and said, "Oh, fortunately, we know about the volcano and stuff and blah, blah, blah. And unfortunately, we're going to take our daughter with us." And then she gets another letter that she finds out the daughter actually knew also. And she was like, "Yep, I'm going to die with my family. That's okay."
Yep.
You know? And then the other thing that I like is when the volcano is erupting, Hermes is just there explaining what's happening. It's like, yep, all the volcanic ash is going to bury their bodies and they will all be dead.
Yep. Just forget, remember, they died instantly, though.
Yeah, they died instantly, so it's okay. You know, it's like, it's the first time you realize Hermes is really actually a machine, not...
Yeah, it's just a straight-up machine. Yep.
Yeah, like, it's interesting how, like, the whole time, you know, like, throughout the series, you kind of see Hermes as just another person, you know? That Hermes just has no differences between humans. But all of a sudden, at the end, it's just like Hermes is just saying those things matter-of-factly. It's like, holy shit, Hermes. You know?
Yep. It's crazy how much during the show, like, people just like, yeah, the motorcycle can talk. Duh.
Yeah, no one's surprised by it, but they're surprised by the dog talking in the Coliseum episode.
Only Hermes talks to the dog, though.
Yeah, which is interesting. And then in the 2017 series, I thought that was stupid.
They fucking threw that shit right out the window. They were like, "Oh, dog talks now." I was so mad at that.
You know, like, what I actually think they did was they just kind of took all the elements and they kind of and like threw them in a hat and just pulled them out one by one. And it's just like, okay, we're just going to do this. We're not even going to think about it. We're just going to throw it all together. You know, it's going to be a cornucopia of just fucking nonsense. But, you know, it's okay. People enjoy those things recently. Have you seen the Wendy's commercials? Everyone's kicking trees and then they eat a hot, juicy burger. That's how the world works now. So we're just going to go with it, you know? That's you know, people like nonsense. That's probably what they're going on with. Anyway, so
that brings us to the
ranking.
End. I kind of want to say one thing.
Let's rank our favorite. Oh yeah. Okay.
One thing about the show in general. Overall, I give the show like a 9 out of 10. The only criticism I even have of it is it doesn't have like a hook into every next episode. Like when I finish an episode, I'm like, ooh, that felt great. But I don't have the urge to be like, I gotta watch every single episode right now. Like, it doesn't have a binge quality to it. At least for me.
Okay, I don't... To me, that's actually why I don't like animes. I don't like the binge quality. I like to be able to be okay with just watching an episode and then being like, oh, okay, I can look forward to another episode, but I don't need to watch it to know the story, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I like this kind of format just because each episode can be by itself. It's by itself, it's one story, you know, but it's in the grand scheme of things and you can kind of piece things together to get a whole story. That's also why I like Mushishi too, actually. And maybe that's the kind of storytelling that I like the most, is like little stories within a larger story.
Yeah. The other takeaway is kind of like, while there is that grand scheme, all of the countries are very disconnected. Like,
yeah,
tech in one country doesn't exist in another, and that's very, very cool, but not like world-wise. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me, anyway.
Yeah, I kind of almost like that because it's like it gives it kind of like a super, super. What is the word? Not a surreal kind of quality to it.
Yeah, it's just like we're gonna put Kino in this environment today.
Because it's like there's one country that has like levitator like plates where you don't even need to walk anymore, you know, and you just kind of levitate over the ground. But then another country's like, well, we don't even have airplanes yet.
Yep.
You know, it's like I kind of like that because like I like the surreal quality to it, you know, and that they never really pointed out. I like that. I enjoy it. I'd have to say, like, all the points you're bringing up are the reasons I like the series, you know.
Yeah, that's our difference, I guess, in anime. I like everything connected more than the disjointedness.
I like the disjointedness because it means you can fill in the spaces with your own thoughts. You know, I like to think about the anime I consume. You know, I don't really like everything being spoon-fed to me. I think that's what makes a good story is there's always an element of some sort of mystery or like something ambiguous, kind of like at the end of Inception. You know. You have that top that's still spinning and you're like, is it going to stop or is it going to keep spinning? It's like, are we in a dream or are we already out into reality yet? You know, I think that kind of ambiguousness kind of, it interests people, you know, it gives the story some sort of like excitement almost, you know, or like or gives it like some sort of like, not supernatural, but almost a sublimity to the story.
Yeah,
that it has what is the word? What is the word I'm looking for? Transcends. Yeah, it transcends into another realm. Like it transcends reality. You know? And I like that because I think we get bored of plain old reality and we want something that kind of brings our spirits to another realm. You know? That's how I kind of like analyze my feelings toward it. But yeah, how about ranking the episodes? What do you think is your top 3 episodes in Kino's journey?
My top 3 episodes are probably going to be for this sake. Let's count Coliseum as just one episode, the whole thing.
Yeah, of course.
Mine's going to be 3 Men Along the Rails, the Coliseum.
Is that from 1 to 3? Are you saying?
Yeah, this is 1 to 3.
On the Rails is your favorite,
and then
second is Coliseum.
God, this is really hard to fucking get down to 3, honestly.
What do you think? Like, what?
I think A Kind Land might be my third.
Your third would be Kind Land. Okay. Yeah, I think I'm trying to think too. Like, 3 Men on the Rails is good. I don't know, but I also like the second. Was it the second episode, the first episode with the hunters?
That's the second one.
The slave traders.
Yeah, that's the second one.
Yeah, I enjoyed that one a lot. So I still think I'd put Coliseum on as the first best one. And then the second one, I would say maybe the 3 Man on the Rails. And then the third one, I would say it might be a tie between it might be a tie between the Kind Land and the slave traders for me. Yeah. No, I would say the slave traders is still the third, the number 3 for me. So Coliseum, whatchamacallit, and then the slave traders. The 3 Men on the Rails. Yeah.
Yeah. So many of these can be put in that section though.
Yeah, it's hard. Like
definitely an honorable mention for Her Journey, because the line "There is no such thing" is really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like it just like the bits and pieces. It's like such a wise show. I'll have to say, it's like there's so much wisdom in the show. That's what I really like about, and see, that's kind of why I like watching anime, is because I think a lot of people don't realize that, at least for me, a lot of my moral values and the way I see the world comes from anime. So much of it comes from anime. Like some of my heroes in life are actually people in anime. Like I look up to people like Luffy, you know?
Yeah.
Or sometimes Naruto, or, you know, Ginkgo from Mushishi.
You're watching Boku no Hero, right?
Oh, yeah. Have they come out with the 4th season yet?
Not yet. That's like next year. But yeah, All Might is definitely like now in my top tier of role models.
Really?
I love All Might.
You know, the thing is with All Might, I'm not convinced that he's like really a role model to me. Like I think the whole series is kind of like, I mean, we can talk about this another time, but I really think it's kind of like Watchmen, showing that heroes aren't the heroes we think they are, you know?
Yeah, we could definitely throw Boku no Hero on another episode.
Yeah,
I could talk about that shit for a long time. You know,
I enjoy it, but I don't super enjoy it. But anyway, we can talk about that another time. Like I'm getting already tired of talking today. So why don't we end the episode here then?
Yep, let's wrap up. Thanks for listening, everybody who does. If you like this, leave us a comment on our Twitter page at OtherPondPod, our Instagram, Across the Other Pond,
YouTube channel.
Our YouTube channel. Rate us on iTunes if you haven't yet.
Yep, just find us on some sort of platform and interact with us in some way, you know? Yeah. And we'll interact back, probably. All right, well, that is our show for this week, and we will see you on the other side.